What is going on, everybody? Pineapple Sway here. Today I'm bringing you guys a pretty cool video, I like to think. I'm not going to be talking about Kill the Justice League today, although I am on Kill the Justice League. If you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing. Today we're going to be talking about my main concern, my big concern for Rocksteady's next Batman game. In case you guys are new here and are unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, Rocksteady has been working on a new game since June of last year. They finally found their game director, Bill Money, to hopefully be that positive insight that they need to lead them back into the right direction. And they're working on a Batman game. Now, truth be told, do we know if it's going to be an Arkham game? We can only make assumptions. We can only assume that, yes, this will be an Arkham game. Now, with that being said, a little bit of, I guess, some disclaimers. I, for one, believe that we will get the big reveal for this game at the Game Awards. I stand on that. The Game Awards is a month from today. I don't have any proof to back that up. It's something I feel and believe that would really be the perfect time to reveal this game. It's almost going to be 2 years since Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League came out. In December, it would almost be 2 years, really, and I think 2 years since the closed alpha. So, why not revamp, the series and bring back all of your beloved fans to show them your next big title, which is Batman. Now, I do have one problem with this game, and my biggest concern, which I will talk about in just a minute, but just to give a little bit of a backstory, also, too, I like to think this game will be Batman Arkham Beyond, or it could just be a reset of the universe. Some things I've heard, it doesn't seem like Suicide Squad will be retconned if the universe is continued, and it seems like, for the series, they want to move forward. They don't want to necessarily move backward, which means this Batman game will most likely not be a prequel. It will only really be a continuation of the series. Now, with that being said, my biggest concern, and it kind of just, hit me after replaying this game again, and that is, I hope we have a great structured story and enough stuff to do. Don't get me wrong, Suicide Squad, there is a lot of stuff to do, really in the post game, but really the base game, and there just isn't much to do, and it's kind of just set in stone on what you have to do. And I brought this opinion up in my honest opinion on Suicide Squad after playing the game again, is it's really just bare bones. Like, you kill the Justice League and then that's it. You really don't get creative freedom until you get to the end game, but your average player, though, won't really explore the end game or mess with the end game. So, for myself, I'm really hoping that in the next Batman game, we just have a lot of stuff to do in the base story. And hopefully it all leads to a good ending. Because I think for a lot of us, too, a lot of us fans just want a good story. There's no, wrongs in admitting that Kill the Justice League was severely flawed in terms of storytelling. It was definitely a step backward from what we knew of what Rocksteady could deliver and what they brought us previously. So, for the next Batman game, we want a good, structured, thought-out story that makes sense and that connects. While Suicide Squad, I felt like at times things would connect, but then, in just a blink of an eye, nothing would really make sense, especially with the post-launch content, as I previously brought up. Now, with the next Batman Arkham game, I hope for, an amazing open world, which I think they'll deliver on, knowing that Bill Money has worked on the more recent Assassin's Creed titles. And the funny thing is, it kind of opens up to my concern today with the story and just the not having enough stuff to do is, I love those Assassin's Creed games because of their open world, ability, but in terms of story, I'm not really fans of those games, and that could be a case of what we're getting with this next Batman game. We could get an incredible open world, especially if it's 2060 Gotham with Terry McGinnis, but the story might be lackluster. Now, in all honesty, something with this game, yes, there are support squad missions, but there's not really side missions. And there's not really any like side stories or stuff that connects to this story like how we had in Batman Arkham City and Batman Arkham Knight. In Arkham City, we're tracking down Hush and all those, guys that he killed to eventually find out that Hush has basically made himself to look like Bruce Wayne. Some other side missions in Arkham Knight, Hush is a big example again. Professor Pig, the bodies all over, Gotham. That was just missing in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So I hope they bring that back, which I think they should. Obviously, when you look at it from a narrative standpoint, it makes sense why Kill the Justice League didn't have any side missions, but in terms of a player standpoint and a gameplay perspective, it gets very repetitive, it gets very boring. All we're doing is just killing, each league member one by one, and then we eventually kill Brainiac, and that's how it concludes. While with the Batman games, you have a lot of freedom in what you can do and choose what you want to do, but eventually it does lead to the ending, if that makes sense. And I hope they go really the route in terms of narrative and gameplay design and level design of the routes of, in Arkham Knight, in Arkham City, even in Arkham Origins. Going back to the original roots, which they have said that the plan is that they want to go back to what they were known for. They want to go back to their original roots, which is why they've also said it'll be a single player experience with no live service elements, and that they plan to go back to their original roots. What does that exactly mean? Well, we won't really know, but I guess we can only assume that they'll go back to what they were known for. The Batman Arkham games, not Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And although I did make a point that if they were to bring anything back from this game, I would love if they had a gear system in the next Batman Arkham game, because we saw something like that in Gotham Knights. And I do like gear systems in games. I think they do work if done right. And I think that was one of the, the bright spots of this game was the gear and the loot system. Now, in all honesty, it could just be better to just have a more simple, like how we did in Arkham City, Arkham Knight, just Batman, and he gets his upgrades as you level up, and you get stronger the more you level up. While, unlike this game, you got to do harder missions to get better gear. But yeah, just back to what I was saying. I just hope that there's enough stuff to do and just creative freedom in what we choose to do. Obviously, you don't want too much stuff where it's just overwhelming for the character, or for not the character, but the player. But you don't want, like this game, not enough where there just isn't enough to do, so you're just kind of bored and you just don't like the repetitiveness after a while. What made the Arkham games so great is just you can go back and play them and really play them as you please, while with this game, it's really just you got to do this one thing and this one thing only. And it also didn't help too that there just wasn't really much story. So that's another thing too, is hopefully they do go back to their original roots of what they claimed and bring us a story-based experience that gives us the open world and open freedom to really pick and choose how we, direct our character, Batman. Now, is it going to be Bruce Wayne Batman? I really don't know. I like what I said. I strongly believe that this game will be Batman Beyond, especially with, as I mentioned, the tease in the prequel comic for Kill the Justice League going to 2060 Gotham. It just seems right. The best way to bring fans back and to hype fans up is to make Batman Beyond. And I think they could connect Batman Beyond pretty easily without having to completely retcon and destroy the series. I know they're going to have to plug in some stuff for this game to make sense, especially if they're not retconning it. But it's really just a matter of having to just wait and see and have hope and faith in Rocksteady, in which a lot of people have unfortunately lost after this game. But I think if they made Batman Beyond, I think that's the best way to reestablish hype in a studio that has really lost everything that it's kind of stood for, which I don't blame them for that, but I just feel it's going to be hard to regain people's trust again, especially if they're doing something, that's unorthodox or out of the ordinary, which was, for example, this game. Anyways, though, I hope you guys enjoy this game. Let me know what's your biggest concern with the next Batman game. I've kind of done already at 5 things that I'm looking forward to, or 5 things that I want. Now I'm doing, my biggest concern with with this game. Anyways, though, this is Pineapple Sway. Trying to keep this video under 10 minutes. We're at 10 minutes exact. Peace out.